بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. This is a quick refutation of a Deobandi who claims that Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala is a liar and that Sheikh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyah contradicts Ibn Uthaymeen and his statements with a statement of his own, and that Ibn Taymiyyah actually contradicts himself.
Sheikh Uthaymeen, he says in his book Aqeedatu Ahli Sunnati wal Jama'ah, he says that the entire Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah have made a consensus upon the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's eyes are two. He says that the aynayn are ithnatan, they are two. And then he goes on to prove this, trying to prove this, establish this from the hadith of A'war.
So we're fully aware of the claim of Ibn Uthaymeen in attributing al-aynayn, two eyes, to Allah, and he brings his proof. In the next clip, we see this individual bring a statement from Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah to make it seem that he's saying that no scholar has ever said this. And inshallah, we'll also respond to that.
Refuting this, look at the words of Ibn Taymiyyah. Ibn Taymiyyah says, وَلَا يُعْرَفُ عَالِمٌ مَشْهُورٌ مِنْ عُلَمَاءِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Not a single reputable scholar from amongst the scholars of the Muslims. وَلَا طَائِفَةٌ مَشْهُورَةٌ مِنْ طَوَائِفِهِمْ. And not a single group from amongst the groups of the Muslims. يُطْلِقُونَ الْعِبَارَةَ الَّتِي حَكَوْهَا عَنِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Ever state or ever, mention in a general form this statement which the Christians say to us. Then he says, حيث قالوا عنهم إنهم يقولون إن لله عينين يبصر بهما ويدين يبسطهما وساقا ووجها يوليه إلى كل مكان وجنبا. He says, nobody says this. A single scholar hasn't ever said this. A single group of Muslims have never said this. That Allah has two eyes with which he sees, and he has two hands with which he grasps with it, and which he has a shin, and he has a face with which he turns yuwallihi ila kulli makanin, and a side. He says walakin haula'i rakabu min alfadh alquran bi su'i tasarrufihim. He says these people, they have just they've just made up words of the Quran, and they've brought them together in a very, very bad manner, and وفهمهم, and with a very, very bad understanding. تركيبا زعموا أن المسلمين يطلقونه, and they think that this is what the Muslims use, and they believe in this. وليس في القرآن ما يدل ظاهره على ما ذكروا. There's nothing as such inside the Quran. Allahu Akbar. This is Ibn Taymiyyah refuting him.
So here we see on the screen the statement of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah on page 412, and we see here in green the portion that this individual read. We know that Ibn Taymiyyah is speaking regarding the statement of the Christians and the Jews in context. And this individual actually mentioned the context, so he has absolutely no excuse regarding this. So when this individual read the statement of Ibn Taymiyyah, understood it to mean that since the Christians and the Jews mentioned two hands and two eyes, that Ibn Taymiyyah is actually denying the reality of al-aynayn and yadayn, two hands and two eyes, in the belief of the Muslims. But no, Ibn Taymiyyah is actually refuting the full statement of these Christians and these Jews. And what fully clarifies this is if you look on the next page, on page 413, we see that Ibn Taymiyyah here is affirming two hands for Allah. وَإِثْبَاتُ الْيَدَيْنِ لَهُ مَوْجُودٌ فِي التَّوْرَةِ. That attributing two hands to Allah is present in the Torah, and so on. كَمَا هُوَ مَوْجُودٌ فِي الْقُرْآنِ. And similar is how it is also present in the Quran. He's affirming two hands for Allah. And if we scroll down on the same page, we see here in green, وَأَمَّا لَفْظُ الْعَيْنَيْنِ. As for the word al-aynayn, فَلَيْسَ هُوَ فِي الْقُرْآنِ. It's not in the Quran. وَلَكِنْ جَاءَ فِيهِ حَدِيث. But it comes to us by the way of a narration. Here Ibn Taymiyyah is affirming that it is in a narration. وذكر الأشعري. Your Imam Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari says, عن أهل سنة والحديث, from أهل السنة والحديث, أنهم يقولون, that they say, إن لله عينين, that Allah has two eyes. Allahu Akbar. Ibn Taymiyyah is saying, your Imam actually says this. And to verify this, we can see in Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari's book, Maqalatul Islamiyyin, on page 285, he says, وَقَالَ أَهْلُ السُنَّةِ وَأَصْحَابُ الْحَدِيثِ. And Ahlul Sunnah and Ashab al-Hadith, they say, then he goes on to list all of the things they say. Then he mentions, وَإِنَّ لَهُ يَدَيْنِ. And Allah has two hands, كَمَا قَالَ خَلَقْتُ بِيَدَيَّ, as mentioned in the verse. وَإِنَّ لَهُ عَيْنَيْنِ. And that Allah has عَيْنَيْن, two eyes, as in the verse, تَجْرِي بِأَعْيُنِنَا. So this isn't just the claim of Ibn Uthaymeen. It's also claimed by your Imam. And Ibn Taymiyyah is affirming that it came by way of hadith.
But like I said, when you lie or when you make blunders in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will end up contradicting yourself.
وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.